And as we continue through the starting grid, Doug Chandler making an effort to get his Ducati onto the front row, but fell just a little bit short, so we'll be watching him for a start. Jason Pridmore, Alex Gobert on another Honda, Mike Ciccato on a Buell XB9R Firebolt, and also Mike Barnes riding one of the Buell machines. Larry Pegram on one of his privateer Yamahas. Pascal Picotte riding the Team Jordan equipment out there. And we look through the rest of the field. Young Danny Eslick on the back, and 16-year-old Blake Young riding the number 149 bike. Darren Luck bringing up the tail end of the field here with some problems in qualifying. Let's look at the course. Ski Road America, it's a good one.
One of my favorite racetracks, so take a look at the Progressive Insurance track map of Road America. 4 miles and 14 turns. Look for some high speed running down in turn 1 and heavy braking down at turn 5. A lot of passing going on over in Canada Corner at turn 12 as well.
You're riding on board with Miguel Duhamel as he finishes up his warm-up lap and returns to the starting grid in the number 2 spot alongside Jake Zemke, who's already there. And we're looking at the grid marshals. Let's go down to Greg White. He's there too.
Yeah, I'm looking at the number 3. That's Vincent Haskovic. They call him Checker now. On the front row, he's the only one on Michelin tires. Now, keep in mind that these tires are made for a heavier, faster superbike. The big concern with this Suzuki is the left side of the tire. They're on the left side so little that it stays cold. 2-minute board's up. 1 minute. When it goes green, we're going racing. And Steve Crevier with a great launch.
Well, Crevier may have had the great launch, but it was Alex Gobert who won the drag race down into turn number 1. Al Gobert with a terrific finish to his start from the second row. He qualified 7th. He leads this thing.
All about horsepower to weight ratio. Al Gobert, one of the smaller statured riders in the field. He'll lead him down through turn 2 and on the back straightaway. Let's see who's got the horsepower.
Gobert leading a long freight train. 7 or 8 bikes in a lead group, then a small gap, and the rest. It is Alex Gobert. Now, Miguel Duhamel takes over. Jake Zemke goes by. Al Gobert shuffled back to 3rd. Will he hold a 2nd? No, he'll stay 3rd. So after a brief tenure in the lead, Alex Gobert on the Arian CBR 600 RR Formula Xtreme bike drops in behind the other 2.
With just a tad of the draft, you can see the 17 machine using that tremendous horsepower. 600cc based super bikes, but Miguel seems to have the straightaway speed over the 98 and the 23. Now Jake under braking on the 98, trying to keep Miguel honest. Into the carousel turn, we'll see who's got the best handling machine in the field.
Miguel with 3 Formula Xtreme wins to open the season and to add to his total of 74 career victories in AMA competition is out front right now with Jake Zemke. Zemke moved recently into 5th overall in Formula Xtreme wins. He had 4 prior to this season when they were on the bigger bikes, and he won the last 2 races of the year, moving into 5th overall in Formula Xtreme wins.
Steve Crevier having to defend the inside line through the S-bend. That kind of threw a curve at Doug Chandler, but now through the back section and down into Canada Corner. There'll be heavy braking here. Is one of the favorite places to pass on this racetrack at turn 12.
Chandler and Crevier side by side. Chandler, a little braver, is going to come out with the 4th position, and up the inside, Crevier comes back at him and takes it away again.
Steve Crevier, that's Canada Corner, and he's a Canadian. I think that has something to do with it.
It could be. He's well versed in what it takes right there. Let's go down to Greg White.
Well, when they get to the front straightaway, Doug Chandler has not had a chance today to run with anyone. In practice this morning, he ran all by himself. So the question mark for him right now is how is that Ducati going to compare with the horsepower of the other machines? And does he have enough gear to pull a nice draft down the straightaway?
Incredible right now. Mike Ciccato's been able to draft around Doug Chandler, and then it kind of leveled out as he hit 5th gear, Brian.
Well, Chandler was able to draft and go by Crevier, so was Ciccato on the Buell, and now Ciccato takes over the spot with that big XB9R American-made twin. So we've got a real mix of machines among the leaders right now, but the man out front with clear track in front of him is Miguel Duhamel.
On board with Miguel Duhamel. Progressive Motorcycle Insurance onboard cam. This is the back straightaway heading down into turn 5. Listen to heavy braking. All the way down into 1st gear. Crack open the throttle here. Use up all the paint on that curbing. This is a blind rise corner. Very, very difficult. You have to keep the brake lever on all the way through to the apex. Start thumbing the throttle open here. Very, very high speed right-hander here down into the hurry down sections. They call it that. Car racing up here, and the harsh winters make it real choppy through here. Hard left second gear corner, use up all the racetrack, and into the carousel turn. You're forever on the right side of the tire here. Try to peel it in at the end, right down at the bottom. And get your knee just over the grass.
And back to the look with Miguel Duhamel holding off Jake Zemke. At the moment, you saw clear track in front of him, but Jake has been showing him a wheel here and there as these two continue their battle for domination in Formula Xtreme. Miguel winning the 3 opening races of the season, Jake the last 2, trying to tie it up here at 3 apiece. We're 3 laps into this one, a 10-lap race, 7 laps remain. And we're going to go back, and you can see that about 5, almost 6 seconds back are Alex Gobert, Doug Chandler, Steve Crevier backing it in, Mike Ciccato, and Vincent Haskelbeck. A great battle going on for 3rd position there. A lot of different bikes, including the Buell, which we are correcting. It is actually the XB12 model, the bigger engine version. They allow the 1200cc air-cooled in Formula Xtreme against a 600cc inline 4-cylinder water-cooled, and it all balances out. You've got a water-cooled 750cc twin. That's the Ducati, the 749R, number 10 that Doug Chandler's riding. The majority of the bikes are inline 4-cylinders, water-cooled, 600 cc's, built to the gills.
You watch that 13 bike of Mike Ciccato. I spoke to him before the race. Some updated suspension components. They're still waiting to get the full potential out of the engine, but cranking out 2:21 lap times, pretty incredible. And Mikey says that this bike is just going to get better as the season goes on.
How about it, Greg?
Well, you know, one of the things that they've done to improve the Buell is they replaced the whole front end of the motorcycle from the stock Showa units that came with the bike to the O'Leans, and that saved 7 pounds off the front end. And they also replaced the shock earlier today from the Penske unit they've been using to an O'Leans, and Mike Ciccato says this machine is working so much better, along with some new engine modifications. This bike could be a front runner by the end of the season.
Oh, and you can see it on the racetrack. He's definitely come to grips with it. He's never before diced with Doug Chandler on his Buell. We got an HMC Ducati, a Buell, and Suzuki's and Hondas going at it right now in Formula Xtreme. And this one's going to go down to the wire, Brian.
This battle sure looks like it's shaping up to be a good one. Vincent Haskelbeck bringing up the rear on his Michelin-shod Team Valvoline Emgo bike. Steve Crevier right in the middle there, the number 714 Diablo machine. And up front, it is Alex Gobert at the moment on a bike that is very similar to that of the 2 leaders.
Basically identical, and Al Gobert having a full season in Formula Xtreme. Eventually move on like his older brothers to Superbike, but he's having a great time aboard the Arian 600 machine. Crevier wanting a piece of him right now.
Didn't get it though. Alex Gobert on the number 23 Arian Honda continuing to lead this conga line of 6 bikes.
He's got some horsepower, Brian.
Yes, and there's 5 bikes actually going for this battle right here. And some Arian horsepower under the hood. Steve Crevier with a little flames coming out the exhaust there on the overrun as he backs off on the throttle. And they continue their battle while up front it is a dice for the lead between Miguel Duhamel and Jake Zemke. And as you can see, Miguel is still out in front. Right now with Miguel Duhamel taking a fast ride on his favorite 4-mile road course. You can see some clouds in the distance. An overcast sky has moved into the area, but no threat of rain. Now turn up the volume, folks. Here's the sounds of speed. Take a ride. Even though there's long straightaways here, Ski, a lot of up and down shifting there, and man, he held it open for a long time down to turn 1. I chickened out a long way back.
The one thing the camera doesn't do for you there is to show you how distorted your own eyes get when you get on those brakes, especially down here at turn 5. You really have to concentrate to keep your eyes focused well on your apex, hit your marks right on the way in. You can see Miguel, so much time around this racetrack, it's like another day in the office to him, but Jake Zemke, his racecraft keeps improving the more he keeps following the king of 600 Supersport around. Of course, these machines, 600 base, but there's up some 30 horsepower than the stock model.
Miguel and Jake still pretty much nose to tail. Miguel has actually opened up just a little bit of a gap, and Jake has to work awful hard to stay close. A slight difference perhaps in the performance of the machine. We heard Greg White say that they did a motor swap earlier in the day and that Jake had some concerns about whether his backup motor, if you want to call it that, had the grunt that the one he had in there earlier did. But he's holding it pretty close with some real hard riding in the chicane. This is a new part of the racetrack that was put in for the beginning of last year. We go back to the battle for third, and you can see how far ahead of everybody else these two Hondas are. And now with there are only 4 bikes in the lead group, it's Vincent Haskevec, I believe, is still there.
Yes, he is.
And Mike Ciccato, I think, is the one that has gone adrift into the distance slightly. So perhaps a small mistake. In any case now, Al Gobert leads a conga line that's only 4 bikes strong. Doug Chandler on the 10 machine, the HMC Ducati 749R. Then it's Steve Crevier on a Suzuki, and Vincent Haskevec on another Suzuki, but with Michelin tires.
Brian, you got to bear in mind that the Formula Xtreme class is it's new for 2004. Honda really jumped on this class with a vengeance to come out here and just completely dominate. You see Al Gobert going at it right now, who's basically in his first full season with Honda on factory equipment. But these guys really haven't had the time in developing their machines that the front two, the 17 and the 98 have. So I think as this season goes on, you see Vincent Haskevec and Crevier going at it, swapping positions there right now. But as the season goes on, these guys will develop these bikes and hopefully be able to match up. There goes Chandler around Al Gobert. He'll take over the 3rd spot.
For the first time, I believe, Chandler has moved to the front of this battle for 3rd position. 3rd is where Chandler finished at Pikes Peak when he debuted that HMC Ducati 749. And he's looking to back it up with another 3rd place finish here at Road America. 2 very different racetracks, but very similar results so far. Miguel Duhamel and Jake Zemke out in front of the rest. Side by side briefly, Jake Zemke and Miguel Duhamel, and they have been like this when it looked like Miguel was going to be able to put a little bit of a gap on Jake. Jake put his head down and brought it right back. So here we go again. And this time it looks like it's going to go to the finish line. 2 laps to go, inside 2 laps to go right now with Miguel leading, but it hasn't been like that all the time we were gone.
Jake Zemke on the 98 machine, putting it up the inside of the 17 of Miguel Duhamel. That seems to be his favorite place on the racetrack to make a pass on Miguel. Miguel seems to be real strong up the front straightaway with that horsepower. Progressive Motorcycle Insurance onboard camera following us now into Canada corner. Heavy braking zone coming up. Miguel lets him go, Brian.
For now, you would have to say. Remember the last lap? Remember who owns it here at Road America? The man in 2nd place right now.
Through the Billy Mitchell Bridge into turn 14. Jake Zemke has definitely changed his body posture. He was content to follow the 17 around. He says, no more. Ring the bell, because we're going to go into a full contact bout here on the last lap.
And now I'm thinking back to the question that Greg White asked Jake. What if you're leading on the last lap? What do you do? Jake said, I don't know. Well, he just got past, so he doesn't have to worry about it. If his strategy is to try to come around Miguel, he's already proved he can do it. Can he do it on the last lap?
Miguel's going to have to defend the inside into the S-bend. He throws a tear off right back in front of Jake Zemke. Linnea looking on, knowing that this one's going to be a barn burner right down to the finish.
And she doesn't want to see anything but what she's watching on the monitor on pit wall.
Jake right there in the draft, but not enough horsepower to slingshot past.
Here he comes on the brakes. No.
Not going to do it here. It's too early, Brian. He's got to do it in probably the last. If he doesn't get him in the S-bend, he'll do it in Canada corner. But still, that draft up the hill to the finish line, Miguel has shown that he's been able to pull out and pass the 98 machine before the stripe.
Maybe on the entrance to the chicane. Here goes Jake Zemke trying it again.
Just putting enough pressure on. There we go. The hurry down sections, another heavy braking zone. Jake going for the inside, but he's not going to pull it off there. Just applying pressure to his teammate. Trying to force Miguel to maybe hit the ball a little bit long to use a tennis term.
Well, if you try to force Miguel into an error, you're going to have a long day. He doesn't make many mistakes, but Jake Zemke's just going to have to outride Miguel Duhamel.
This pass starts with that drive off the carousel turn. He's side by side with Miguel.
And here it goes into the chicane. He backs it in front of the 17, and Jake's done it again.
Miguel gave him that room, and that's A lot of respect right there from the number 17 rider. He knew his teammate was strong in there and let him go and gave him that bit of space to get past.
And now Miguel is dropping back a little bit, laying back in the draft. Here he comes up the inside in an unusual place and lets it go again. Showed him a wheel. Boy, the master tactician, Miguel Duhamel, working on Jake Zemke, his young teammate, in the closing lap here at Road America.
I talked about Jake. If this scenario came up, what are you going to do? Are you going to weave to the finish line? Are you going to want to lead? Here goes Miguel up the inside.
Okay.
Jake Zemke buried the front end through turn 14.
Hanging off the motorcycle. Does he have enough of a gap? You're riding with Miguel, and you've got Jake Zemke in your sights. He is weaving. He's moving back and forth. He's going to hold on. Does he? No. Miguel takes it by a foot at the finish line. The master of the last lap pass has done it again here at Road America, and he's done it to his young teammate Jake Zemke. Here comes another close battle. It's Steve Crevier and Doug Chandler to the line. Suzuki versus Ducati.
Al Gobert and Doug Chandler to the line. Honda horsepower prevails over the Ducati. Great race for that position as well.
So Al Gobert with his third place finish. Let's go to Greg White.
Down here with Al Ludington, 0.03 of a second. You couldn't ask for a better race than that, could you, Al?
No, I'll tell you what, you know, our Trevor Wheeler, our motor guy, he's been busy on the dyno, and it just paid off today. He went home right after the last race. He got on the dyno, he got to work, and this is where we needed it. It's wonderful. 2 for 2. We'll see if we can button up 3 tomorrow.
Well, congratulations. Let's get the winner's circle. Brian?
Thanks, Greg. Let's take a couple of looks at just exactly how that went down, Ski. Wow.
First at the start-finish line, you can see Miguel just barely picking up the draft there, and then he just has this super slingshot move, able to win this one by almost a full wheel. Look closer than that on the live shot. And then on board, so impressed with Jake Zemke through that final corner. I really didn't think Miguel was going to be able to catch him coming up the hill. That little weave back and forth scrubs the speed off. I don't know. I think Miguel had a little bit more horsepower, and Al Ludington told you that Trevor was back on the dyno, and you could see it was pretty evident.
Well, let's take a look at the results. We know how the top 4 finished anyway. We saw it. 2 very close finishes for both Miguel and Jake, and for Al Gobert with Doug Chandler. Steve Crevier finishing in 5th position. Vincent Haskevec 6th. Blake Young, keep an eye on that name, 16 years old, rounds out the top 10 on Pirelli tires, and here are the rest. Let's go back to Greg White.
Thanks. Down here with Miguel Duhamel. Wow, what an amazing win for you. Just a couple hundredths of a second. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. You know, the CBR 600R works great. And as you can see, you know, I had some power on Jake there. Jake rode a great race, you know, and reeled me in. A little bit of tire problem, but you know, when you got a couple of races on your deck, you know, you just play the other one. And we had a lot of power. I squared up. I got a good drive in the end, and Jake tried to weave a bit, but I still got enough of a drive to just get him. And all the thanks. Trevor's been working really hard, giving us a lot of power. Al Ludington, Chris, Yuji, and Jason Lubin been working real hard on the bike, and I want to thank everybody. Even Steve, the truck driver, bought me a breadboard for the race. So,
all right. Well, Jake Zemke, I mean, you know, you were leading it that last section. Did you feel like a sitting duck there?
No, that was the only chance I had. You know, Miguel had a little bit of motor on me. If I was behind him, there's no way. Just as we climbed the hill to the finish line, he'd pull away from me every lap. So I had to lead, and you know, did the best we could today on the Parts Unlimited PJ1 MTX Arian Honda.
Well, there you go. First and second, Miguel and Jake, man, they gave us quite a race here in Formula Xtreme.
Indeed they did, and they're apparently still having some fun down there in Victory Lane with Greg. We'll let them enjoy themselves while we take a look at the point. Only 9 separate Jake Zemke from Miguel Duhamel. Clearly the battle for the championship is between those two.